All right, everybody. Thank you for staying with us. We've got another speaker lined up for you. It's Mr. Mike Brennan from Cisco, and he's got an exciting talk, of course, about supporting remote workers. I think this is the topic for now. Everybody's working from home. You've got a lot of remote workers. I'm excited to have Mike. We've been working together for so long, almost since the existence of the company. And I've also just learned that I'm a little bit jealous of Mike because he can see actual rocket launches from where he lives. So unfortunately, from the Netherlands, we don't get to see those. We can see the Starlink satellites coming by when they're still clustered together, you know. But the rocket launches and even the landings, unfortunately, we don't have. But with that, I know the time is short, so I'll give the microphone to Mike. And with that, good luck.
Hey, thank you, Mark. Appreciate that kind introduction. I'm joining you all from beautiful Melbourne, Florida, on the east coast of Florida, very close to the Kennedy Space Center. Glad to be here, glad to have the opportunity, and glad to support our longtime partner, Login VSI. So I want to talk to you today a little bit about what Cisco has out there to make it easy to support remote workers. So we'll talk about a new program we launched called Quick Ship. Talk about the use cases for it, what our strategy is, what configuration we really designed to, what the value is for our customers, and then give you some key takeaways. So, you know, everybody is acutely aware of the global pandemic, COVID-19, or commonly known as the coronavirus. Countries all around the world have been infected in varying degrees. Mark and I were just talking about the fact that, you know, we're on stay-at-home duty from the government, and we can only go out to get essential things like emergency medical care or groceries, things like that. Social distancing is the new norm, you know, staying 6 feet away or so from people to, you know, to prevent the rapid expansion of the disease. And many organizations around the world have closed their offices in an effort to minimize transmission. And this has resulted in an explosion of employees who are now, perhaps for the first time ever, working from home. And as they are learning, working from home isn't as easy as it looks. Another effect of the pandemic has been organizations' heightened interest in reviewing their business continuity and disaster recovery plans. They're finding that just quote unquote working from home results in poor user productivity and security issues for their organizations. They have to ask, how are the users going to connect? What are they connecting from? Is it a company-owned device? Is it a phone? Is it a personal computer? How do you know that it's your employee? What happens when a user opens a large file from the corporate network on a remote device? And how do I secure my intellectual property when it's now moving out of my data center? As we all know, as VDI practitioners, VDI addresses all these concerns, and it guarantees good user experience because the workload and the data are in the same place. And we can prove it thanks to the tools provided by Login VSI, not only the benchmarking tools, but the Login VSI, I guess it's Login Pi is what you call it, which is the canary in your system that lets you understand what's happening real time as your users are using the system. So the problem is the customer right now has two choices when they think about how to expand or create a VDI environment. They can either go the desktop as a service route on Amazon or Azure or Citrix Windows Virtual Desktop or VMware Cloud, or they can build it on premises. And surprisingly, we did a little look at, you know, an organization that had 500 employees, what it would take to start up a cloud-based delivery. And what we learned was, you know, while it's easy to get on Amazon and put your credit card in and get a virtual desktop, that's only a small fraction of what has to happen. You know, users have to be able to collaborate with one another. The file systems have to be delivered to the cloud. It's a big lift. So in order for that 500 user organization to move into the cloud, our estimate is it would take 60 days to get everything lined up the way it should be. And so we use that kind of as a guideline. For our customers, we need to be able to deliver the hardware and software that the customer needs to deploy 500 or more VDI desktops quickly. And with our program that you'll see here shortly, I think we're in good stead there. We're in good shape. So what are the use cases? Obviously, you have customers that need to expand existing capacity. These customers are using VDI for all the right reasons and for some portion of their users, and now they find themselves needing more capacity fast. Customers who don't already have VDI deployments, these customers for COVID-19 may be pushing them over the edge to adopt VDI for all the right reasons for the first time. And then business continuity, we talked about this a little earlier. If you've ever worked with a customer on a business continuity plan, you probably didn't consider a global pandemic where your entire workforce on a continent or even in the, globally is suddenly told to stay out of your facilities. And as we all know, VDI is an outstanding solution to that issue. And now is the time to test it out for those folks. And then the intellectual property we talked about this a minute ago. For those organizations that need to protect their IP, and who doesn't, allowing users to connect remotely to the corporate network and download your IP significantly widens your attack surface, and it increases your risk of theft or damage. And then finally, enhanced collaboration. Now that employees are not over the cube wall from one another, how will they share and collaborate? VDI coupled with Cisco WebEx collaboration tools can solve that problem. So what's our quick ship strategy? So here's a strategy. Unlike typical VDI deployments where we spend a fair amount of time analyzing the customer workload and tuning a configuration to every single customer, our idea here is create static bundles that we know will support a knowledge worker class user. So if we skip that step of trying to customize to everybody, it gives us several advantages. First, from the time the customer says he needs more capacity till the time he can place a purchase order is cut down a lot. Second, our manufacturing supply chain folks know what's coming in the pipeline. They know that we're going to have these configurations coming, and they can actually do the planning that allows us to ship them quickly. So our idea is to offer static bundles of UCS or our HyperFlex HyperConverge starter kits with our Fabric interconnects, which are the UCS manager host for deploying our systems for greenfield customers, or without Fabric interconnects for existing customers that need to add capacity. And so to that end, we've worked for our supply chain to build configurations that can ship consistently within our designated window, which is shipped no longer than 2 weeks from the time the order is placed. So we chose 500 seats as a good scaling point for new deployments or existing customers. You can expand in increments of 100 users by adding computing nodes or adding more storage shelves or whatever it is you need to expand your system, or you can stack the bundles to get higher capacity. So we actually have 1,000 seat, 500 seat, and then individual nodes that you can add to the systems. So no changes are allowed in the configurations outside of the power supplies and the power cables. If the customer wants to add other peripherals like GPUs, you can add them to the orders and they'll ship with the products if they're available within the quick ship window. And then we also offer even VMware Horizon licenses that can be shipped with those systems. And so if we look at then the type of machine that we're going to be supporting, the idea again, as I mentioned a minute ago, was let's look at what 80% in our view of VDI users use, meaning Windows 10. Windows 10 users, if you look at the spectrum, we feel like about 80% of those users are knowledge workers. And of course, we have a tremendous amount of history and knowledge and expertise in provisioning knowledge workers and testing them with Login VSI. So the office workers, because you're on this conference, I don't have to explain it to you. They're really heavy office workers. They use light to medium web browsers. They use a browser like Chrome. They like to use some video. They have many applications open at once. And then, they're really dynamic use. And then if you look at the virtual machine configuration, we wanted to cover those users with the most resource-intensive virtual machine configuration. and that would be to us persistent desktops. Each virtual machine is provisioned with 2 vCPUs, 4 gigs of reserve memory, a 40 gigabyte hard drive, and an application for obviously a Windows 10 and for applications, and then 15 gigabytes of user data in a 10 gigabit net. So for greenfield deployments, the customer, if they were using a hyper-converged system, they could use Microsoft File Services for that. If it's a converged infrastructure, we have a bundle that starts as low as 500 seats with a low-end SANs that you can attach to the system. Now, if the customer decides, for example, that, hey, 2 vCPUs is okay, but I want more RAM, we design the system so that there's room to add more memory, and there's room to add GPUs if you want to add GPUs. So you just order those components separately. They will not impact the shipping, so if there's a constraint on the add-on items, then your base systems will ship in, and the other products will ship in as we get inventory for them. So the 500 seat starter bundles and the 1,000 seat starter bundles are built with Cisco resilience. There are no single points of failure anywhere in the system. In the case of our hyperconverged nodes, we use replication factor 3, so there's 3 copies of all data. So that gives us really good, data integrity. And then we always design in all of our Cisco validated designs N+1 server fault tolerance at the node level to facilitate maintenance operations and protect against node failure. And then additional capacity can be added with either hyper-converged nodes or compute nodes, depending on whether you're converged or hyper-converged. And the whole system is built on our validation with Login VSI as our test platform to make sure that we give end users excellent value or excellent performance. So here's some of the value of the program as we see it. So the program objective is to remove the process of developing a performant bill of materials for a knowledge worker class VDI system. The customer goes from, hey, I need 500 seats of VDI capacity now, to an order in hours, not in days or weeks. Customers can depend on the sizing tools that we use combined with our VDI expertise. That we have four VDI TMEs with combined experience of about 30 years with VDI. And they run solutions, and we run these solutions across all of our product lines. So it's not just a hyper-converged offer. We do have programs running with our FlexPod and FlashStack partners as well. So because we use all of the expertise built in along with Login VSI, the customers can have confidence that what we deliver, what we are putting out there for quick shipment, will deliver what we say it will. And this is a little bit of a paradigm shift, right? We've tried this in the past where we put out static bundles, and customers didn't want to. They said, yeah, that's nice, but I need this or I need this processor, and they really kind of wanted to tailor it to their own individual configuration. Well, that takes time, and they could introduce inadvertently things that are in short supply. So in this particular case, because we're in this really different environment here with this pandemic that we're all facing around the world, we think that it's a good time that customers would be accepting of a configuration that is guaranteed to do a certain workload, and then they can still tailor it, like I said, with extra memory or potentially graphics cards if they want to. So one other thing that we include is that a 180-day free trial of Cisco Intersight Essentials for these bundle buyers, and that gives you the ability to register all of your hardware in the cloud. In the case of FlashStack, you can also register the array up there, and the Essentials package gives you the ability to monitor and get alerts on things that are outside of the norm. And it also gives our Cisco TAC a way to monitor the systems automatically for customers. And then we've targeted a 2-week lead time for delivery of these bundles, and we accomplish that because we can take some of the constraints out of the system. So that's a key element there. And then Cisco as a company has already prioritized shipments for healthcare, public sector, and education customers. So any orders that come in for those three vertical markets will get automatic priority for shipping. So this slide is kind of busy, but it really tells the story for Cisco VDI. I really kind of like it because we have partnerships with some of the leading technology folks in the storage sector, anything from vBlock to FlashStack to FlexPod to VersaStack. And we have integrations with other vendors like Hitachi Data Systems that we don't have an integrated stack with, but we do support. And then of course we have our HyperFlex system, which is our hyper-converged offer. So if you look, the ecosystem partners off of at the very bottom of the slide there, you can see our compute platforms, and then our partnership with NVIDIA for graphics, Citrix and VMware on the desktop broker side. And then these are just a few of the partners that we support in the application space. We just want to put a few up there so you can see that you can deploy SaaS apps, you can deploy SAP apps, healthcare, entertainment, media and entertainment, geospatial, manufacturing. We cross the gamut. We have very good relationships with all those ISVs, so we can support your use in those cases. And then the markets that we go across and the verticals on top, and then the three main user profiles that are really aligned closely with the Login VSI's user profiles. And we've been using Login VSI, as Mark said, since 2010. And it's there. You'll see Login VSI charts in every single one of our Cisco validated designs, and it's what we use to determine where customer experience is when we test a particular configuration. So again, the knowledge worker configuration we have, we use Windows 10 build 1809. It includes 2 vCPUs and 4 gigs of reserve RAM, 15 gigabytes of user data, a 40 gigabyte OS and application drive, and we see roughly, conservatively, a 30% dedupe and compression gain, even in persistent desktops, as we all know, because there's so many common elements there. So here's the things that you want to take away from this talk, if you will. The quick ship for configurations are static. You can make choices on power supplies, things like that, power cables. If you order our fabric interconnects, you can change the uplink cables and the power supplies there as well, but that's basically it. It comes with Cisco Intersight Essentials free. If you want more functionality, we have different levels that you can actually subscribe to, but it's a great way to be able to see your system from any device. It's a 100% HTML5 interface, and it's a SaaS app. We update it every day with new features, and I think you'll like seeing what we can do there. You can add GPUs, you can add memory by placing spares orders. Your partner or your Cisco account manager can place those spares orders. They will ship at the same time as the bundle if they're in stock, but they won't be installed. So you'll need help from your partner, or you can do it yourself. And then you can order licenses as well, both for the GPUs and for VMware Horizon, which we resell. And then finally, we support both Citrix and VMware desktop brokers, and we're backed by the Cisco VDI solution team, which is here to help through your partner, your account manager, anytime to make sure that this works for you. So that's the end of the presentation, Mark. I don't know, did we get any questions along the way?
Absolutely, we did. So I do want to say the session with Douglas Brown is starting. So if you want to jump to there, then that's fine. If you have a question, I have a question here, for example, from Ben. And Ben was asking, do you have Cisco validated designs for WebEx or Teams running in VDI environments?
That's a great question. And the answer is no, we don't. But it's something that this whole thing has really brought to the forefront. So WebEx, let me just comment on WebEx. You don't want to install the WebEx app in the virtual desktop. What you want to do if you want to use WebEx is use the HTML5, just use a web browser to get all your WebEx functionality, and then you get good performance with WebEx. So that's one thing. Jabber is another one of our communication products. There's a fair amount of knowledge out there on how to deploy Jabber and VDI, but we don't have them included. I think it's a great idea, and I think going forward, you'll see more Cisco products integrated in our CVEs.
All right. Well, Mike, time's up. So we got to jump to the next meeting right now. I want to thank you for your time and have a great day.
You bet.
Take care.
Same to you. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate the time.